time.
What struck me immediately was the heat in the building. That was the first thing that I can recall. And then all of a sudden, I looked up and it looked like it was raining inside of the building from just the pure condensation of sweat from the people dancing. And I said, boy, this is my kind of place, this is.
I'm living the nightlife, oh yeah. I'm living the nightlife, oh right. I'm living the night.
I can still envisage walking in through the doors up to Mrs. Woods, who was on the door.
I was like this, like a maniac, grabbing the money and throwing theirs back at them. You had to be quick, because they were pushing and shoving that much. If you hesitated, some of them would have been upstairs for nothing.
Underneath the place was the beachcomber. If they went into the back stairs, I was DJing, and then suddenly a door flew open under the stage and hundreds of people just disappeared onto the dance floor. It was like rats breaking out.
Of course, some of them used to have a sleep on the floor, you see. Used to have a sleep inside. When they got tired, they'd have a sleep, and then when they woke up, they'd have another dance, and then they'd have another sleep.
I once described Northern Soul as the sound of the Motown copyists. The end result was a plethora of music that was made all around the States, most of which was bound to fail commercially because there were just too many of them. And these failures were the rarities that Northern Soul required.
Here was a music coming over from the United States. First of all, through Liverpool, through Navy personnel and Army personnel. It was an alternative to what it was that they were being force-fed for so many years by the powers to be. All of a sudden, here was a music that gave freedom of choice.
I mean, these weren't just American records. These are obscure American records. You know, that's something we really got to get over with. These weren't just American hits of 6 years ago. These were records on the B-side of big flops. Local releases only on a minor label, maybe, you know, 1,000 copies pressed. The B-side, 8 years old, and the kids in Wigan knew every beat.
It was all based on music that was kind of flanked at the time, I guess, and ignored. It was brought to the fore just through people's, you know, passion of it.
Every record's got a little story to it if you listen to it. It's not like sort of poppy where you just a load of noise, bang, bang, crash, wallop. It's a little story about somebody's experience. It's grabbed all your emotions, and that's what Northern Soul's all about. Powerful.
We were real. Where we came from was the truth. If there were problems, we would sing about them.
I could die now. I wanna cry now. Since you've been gone. Oh, baby, don't you leave my side. Don't you leave me so unsatisfied. Oh, God.
Do you want me to get down on my knees, beg you, baby, please, cry a million tears? To call you on the phone, beg you to come home, think of all the years when I once lived in paradise, when the love life...
You know, nobody danced like that. I've never seen anything so energetic. You know, just unbelievable. You stand and watch it. How on earth did they spin that many times in a row, come out of it and carry on dancing, no effect? You know, the things on the floor that later break dancers did. Yeah, so often not as well.
I don't know how they did it. I wish I could have done it. I do. Spinning round like a top.
Some of the people just wonderful dancers. One little guy I've had been friendly with for a number of years, Sandy Holt from Bolton, who's now the Thai European Thai boxing champion. He was an excellent dancer, and he still is.
What can I do when I still love you?
A
I would practice with a friend, just in his, either at my mother and father's or his, in our parents' house, wearing out the carpet basically, practicing some movements during the week, what we could do at the weekend. I'd dance 6-7 hours a night, and obviously I didn't want to get bored doing the same movements, so I'd try some different things out. I had 2 or 3 movements which I was sort of, I don't know if you can call it famous for, but I was recognised for. Was like the kicks, the high kicks, the splits, the front splits and the box splits, which is, I think, very few people could do, especially at that time. These are the shoes I actually won the 2 dance competitions with, and I had these throughout most of my dance career at Wigan Casino. And if you can just notice the little bits of added material, leather here on both sides, was where I actually used to do the splits, and that's where the shoe probably would have split otherwise. To me, dance has just been a great way of expressing yourself, and Thai boxing's been the same way.
You're here today, then you're gone tomorrow.
Last time I took any notice on what was in the charts was 82, 83. I was 12, 13. I know very little about the music nowadays. It just sounds like crap to me. It's a racket that comes out of knackered old escorts. I'm not interested. I've always been very careful to make sure every detail was correct, as if you've been removed from that era and plunked where they are, doing the same things they're doing. And people were pleased to see that the style's coming back, that they'd sort of dropped 15 years beforehand. The reason the night came about was the mods in 63, 4 were taking pills, keeping them up all night. So they were coming out of the do and out to tea, down into coffee bars, anything that was open all night. So the promoters realised, these people aren't going home. We can get money out of them if we keep them in our club for another 2 hours. Once the mods knew they were out for another 2 hours, a few more pills went down and the deal lasted a bit longer. And if that hadn't happened, there would never have been all-nighters, I think.
The music deserved to get its commercial recognition. I think if it hadn't ever had that, I don't think it would be the same we've seen it evolve into today.
The kids down south in London thought they were hip and, you know, and had it all, but they had nothing compared with what was happening up, past Birmingham. The record companies had records out and had some success in Northern Soul beforehand, but no one had taken it seriously. And I thought, this is a real trend. This isn't just a one-off hit record. Let's treat it seriously, give it its own label, give it some respect. And we could have a good moneymaker here.
It started to get very silly. We had virtually every record company re-recording songs and trying all kinds of new angles. And there were even bizarre things like Police Story by Pat Williams, Hawaii 5-0, The Ventures being played, theme from Joe 90. When it got to that stage, that was enough for me.
Just lately, I've been looking at the charts, and I've noticed there's been a big revival of good dancing records out. And here's one of the best of them from Wayne Gibson, his revival of the Rolling Stone classic, Under My Thumb.
A pop singer singing a pop song, it's not Northern Soul. But I heard it live at one club somewhere, I can't remember, I don't think it was the Casino. And the reaction on the floor was just so good, and it sounded so good in the setting of a Northern Soul club. I instantly said, this is a hit.
Oh, girl, who pushed me around? It's down to me.
A lot of people were frightened that of an invasion if it got on the TV and things, and that did happen a little bit actually. That's why I sort of finished going to the Casino, because of the publicity.
Ain't that the truth now, babe?
And it did change it a bit. It took away that sort of specialness away, really.
Northern Soul was dying, and jazz funk was becoming very popular. People were getting a little older.
Well, this was the place. This was the Wigan Casino, the site itself. The council was always thinking of extending the Civic Centre, which is just next to us as well. But then when we got the letter saying, well, that's going to be it's going to happen in 1980, it was just a thing of disbelief, and nobody believed us when we said the place was actually going to have to shut. It came on Granada News saying that there was a fire at Wigan Casino, so we shot round, as did hundreds of other people, and watched the fire engines coming, but they couldn't move this grand piano. And it was like the finale, the bit that was laughing at you really, that it was just there saying, well, you know, this was Wigan Casino, it was about music, it was about dancing.
They're still looking for that one more time, that one more atmosphere, that one more record.
It's all right. Everybody's gonna say that it's all right. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if the rest of the world doesn't accept it, because this is a group of people that know what they want, and they're going to do it, regardless to whether you like it or not.
They're still as agile, and they're still as fluent, and they're still as knowledgeable as they were all those years ago.
1981, Northern Soul unofficially died when Wigan closed. A lot of people who were part of the Northern Soul movement in the 70s moved on to more contemporary musical styles.
The whole Northern Soul scene kind of went quiet for a long time, and I think that was partly because of the publicity, you know, that was created by the records that we and other labels afterwards put out.
The DJs had disappeared. We'd moved on to pastures new. The promoters who were around in the 70s had also disappeared, so it was left to the real collectors to discover records, play the records, and organise the events.
I used to sit on the bus going to various venues and thinking, wouldn't that be fantastic to have a room full of soul music and not know what records you own and not know exactly what they all sounded like. And very quickly I developed a craving to own American soul music from the 60s and 70s, own as many as possible, own them all if at all possible, and what's more, own them on the original American record labels that they came out on.
The way that the records as well were distributed, they really were small labels. Like Eddie Parker, I'm Gone was a Detroit record. It's a massive record on the northern scene, but that wouldn't have been distributed in wider than probably a 10-mile radius of Detroit, in a part of Detroit. It wouldn't even have made, people on the other side of Detroit would never have heard that record. Motown took it onto a bigger scale, but this was a real cottage industry. Willie T records pressed in New Orleans would be 500 sold in 5 shops, and that would be the end of it. So it's no wonder they're so collectible.
We're at the level of having to dig very, very deep indeed to find these records. They really aren't on the surface at all. We're at the level of trying to find some singer's brother in the hope that he may have copies, or do a deal with some dealer that hasn't been found, or find a producer that no one's ever spoke to and said, hey, you got any records left in your attic that you used to make? It's pretty very much a detective job.
The best records do tend to be the most elusive, and the rare records that weren't hits, that were rare because they weren't hits, do tend to be great records. Don't ask me why.
I try and specialise in rare soul. So maybe there's a few thousand I don't have, but not too many, I don't think, not too many.
There's too much concern with money. I'm not bothered with money. Money's to pay for you getting into the night and enjoying yourself. If they want to make a money-making scheme out of their free time, let them. Money-making's from Monday to Friday.
The collectors have almost had their nose put out of joint there, because they're sort of still trying to discover new songs. And why not? I mean, we need that. I mean, it's a great secret society that's kept alive for all these years. But in reality, the masses want that the hit playlist of Wigan.
If you concern yourself overly about what piece of paper's on the middle, you can spend all your time watching it spin round rather than listen to what you bought it for.
crazy, I think. People I work with said, you know, what are you doing? I think I took Thursday and Friday off 1 week. So I said, are you going away? So now I'm going down to Wigan to get the sign off the casino club. What? Why? You know, you couldn't even begin to explain it to them. You know, they just wouldn't understand. It signified a time in my life, a particularly happy time in my life, where I discovered, for me, the greatest music and the greatest atmosphere, the greatest scene, certainly the friendliest scene. You know, you could walk up to complete strangers and ask them about records. Nobody looked twice at you. They were just completely different. And I wasn't quite sure how I was going to get it down or anything, but I just knew I wanted it. And I hired a steeplejack. We went down very early in the morning one day. I think I had 2 days before they were going to actually knock the whole thing down. And I was there on subsequent days for like all day, both days. I was up the scaffolding trying to cut bits off myself, and I just had to have the thing. Yeah, it's just brilliant. It's a piece of art to me, that as well. Don't think it'll be going over the fireplace somehow, but I think it looks lovely.
These guys, they know everything. God, they make me remember stuff that I just like forgot, really. And so I think it's the music of the time. And I think the thing that attracts people to that time is that trueness, the true spirit of the music.
And it's just about good music, it's just about great music. It's about sort of a scene where, you know, it's about finding records that everyone else sort of misguided. Everyone went for the sort of the poppiest stuff, maybe, you know. I like the old sort of stomping soul sound, you know.
Oh, it should have been in.
Just the one.
Okay.
What, same patch?
Yeah, same. Same, definitely. While I just seem to fade into the wind, the whitewashed on the summer spent. Those people, the whole Northern Soul scene has kept that vibe alive for me. They kept me alive.
A great many of the artists would pay homage to the Northern Soul scene because it has allowed us to still have some place to be.
It's an opportunity that I never really got in the States. It's like a second chance, and when I come over here, it's like I'm a star. That's it. That's all.
It is like being born again, because I used to, in the in-between period, when I thought Northern Soul had finished, I used to sometimes have depressions and go up to my bedroom and lie on my bed and think about the best time of my life, and that was the most special time of my life. And I can't believe it's sort of come back again now, you know.
It's an average reunion night now, although there are some on the 25s. Predominance is 30 to 50s. And I don't know how they do it, some of them, to be quite honest, because I struggle as a DJ and a promoter.
The scene is very healthy. It's far more international than it ever was, and we have Northern Soul clubs in Stockholm. We have them in Hamburg. They're from all over.
Maybe the less and less energy comes into the bit, but I know some 50-year-olds will dance as energetic as I can.
The format of compact disc, they've taken the fear out of getting one's collection back. You could walk into the room at any all-nighter now with £200 and probably get yourself 60–70% of all the records that were ever played at all the big all-nighters, and I think that's got to be a good thing. We owe Wigan a huge debt. Not just the DJs like myself that wouldn't be DJs today without having that chance at the casino, I don't think, but also thousands of people that wouldn't have heard about Northern Soul but for the success of Wigan.
The one legacy that they can't take away from us is our Northern Soul legacy.
That whole youth culture of Wigan Casino just keeps coming back time after time.
I'd like to, you know, keep going as long as I can, even till I've won the Zimmer, I think, really. You know, but as long as I can, yeah. It'll always be in my heart, Northern Soul. Always.
I was told the other day, go on and leave you and don't try to please you, but I just turned, walked away. I didn't want to hear it or even be near it. No one can ever change me. No one can rearrange me. Nobody, baby, nobody. 'Cause I have faith in you.
The Black Stallion. Now he has reappeared to challenge the Black Horse. He wants his band back. The Black Stallion's reaction to this unexpected intrusion is to drive his group away from danger. 70% will fall victim to pumas. Lighter colours seem to be most frequently attacked, so the overall dark colour of this herd is probably a consequence of the regular culling by pumas. Their enjoyment of the increasingly scarce water is unmistakable. The dominant mare is getting nervous. She gives a signal to leave. Being constantly forced to move with little time to rest and feed, young foals have a particularly hard time. This foal was born in the previous night, but its mother is already once again arousing the interest of the stallion. Fights between these horses are savage. They tear their rivals' legs, trying to hamstring each other. By the end of the season, there will be severe injuries, broken bones, even fatalities. These scarred stallions are veteran fighters. The brown Palomino has previously been ripped open across his hip, but winning means everything. Luckily, this foal has not been injured in the mayhem of the fight, but many are killed during these battles. The Palomino stallion marks his victory by dunging, and at last the foal can feed. Back in the Pryor Mountains, the chestnut horse is still alone. He's unlikely at his age to be accepted into any group. Whereas the Black Stallion and his colourful band still reign supreme. Few animals can match the majesty and dignity of the wild Mustang, and the West is surely a richer place with their spirited presence.